السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. This session is for Tajweed theory, Tajweed rules. Please, all of you all mute your mic. This is known as Ahkam Tajweed al-Quran, which is Tajweed rules of the Quran. This is part 2. There are 3 volumes to this book. The author of the book is Karima Carol Serapinski. That's the name here. She was a student of Dr. Sheikh Ayman Rushdie Suwaid. He's a very common scholar of Tajweed, very well known. So if you would have heard his name, you will know. So she had learned under him, and if you see here, I'm not sure if the volume 2 has this. There is a preface where she has mentioned how she started writing the book, as in her teacher. See, this is the name here, Sheikh Ayman Suwaid. Her teacher had told her to start writing because at that time there were Tajweed books in English were not there. So that's how she began writing this. And even until now, all the books that I've come across for Tajweed, this is the most detailed. There are now recently many books that have come up, but that's more on the basic level. So this is a very good book, like if you want to know all the details. Now from my side, I have just done volume, that is part 1 I did. And part 2 I'll be learning with you all, and again part 3 inshallah I'll be learning with you all. So I have not read this book as such. I've done only basic theories in some other course. So inshallah we will read through the book and see what all is mentioned. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The table of contents, what all do we have in this book? First is about the accent in recitation of the Quran. Then we have sifatul huruf. Sifat means characteristics, like how each person is unique. Same way, each alphabet is unique, and you need to know certain things in relation to the alphabets. In volume 1, you have the makhraj, as in the point or the place where the sound of an alphabet comes out. You can specifically pinpoint it that this is the point where this alphabet comes out from. So volume 1 has all the makhraj, but apart from the makhraj, if you want the sound of an alphabet to be proper, you need to know what is known as the makharij al-huruf. Sorry, the sifat al-huruf. So this is what is all about the sifat chapter 2. That's a little long, and there you'll need practice for a couple of things, but otherwise it's easy. Then chapter 3 is valorization, attenuation, which is a tafkhim and a tarqiq. It is more commonly known as heaviness and lightness. This also is covered in the Sifat as well, but there are more details to it, which is covered specifically here. Then you have chapter 4, two alike, two similar, two close, and the two far. They are known as mutamathilani, والمتجانسان والمتقاربان والمتباعدان. These have more to do with the makhraj and the sounds of letters, how you are supposed to pronounce. Then chapter 5 is brief introduction to some terms of grammar, because whenever you recite, it's not only the recitation, you have to focus on the meaning. You should know what you're reciting. You should just not read alphabets. We read Quran not to read alphabets. We read Quran to take a lesson, to implement it, to act upon it. So you should know the meaning. I think somebody's mic is not on mute. Please mute your mic, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Those who, if you cannot, just keep messaging me in between if you cannot hear. And Sis Asma. Just give me a minute. Oh. Okay, so the next, after the introduction to grammar terms, are the connecting hamza, which is also known as hamzatul wasl. We will see what is that, and that is the end of the book. So we have completed the index, not the book. We will begin the book, inshallah, now. The accent and recitation of the glorious Quran. It is known as an-nabr fi tilawatil Quran al-Kareem. An-nabr. Nabr is accent. And what do we have here is what we will see. What do you mean by nabr and how are we supposed to do it? So in this book, if you will see, for many definitions, first the Arabic is written, and then there are two kinds of definition mentioned always. One is the actual terminology, what the word itself means, and then over here with respect to tajweed, what do you mean by it? So one is a literal definition and one is the implied definition. So you will see two definition. Nabr is defined as you put pressure on part of a specific letter of the word. So whatever word is there, on one particular letter you will put pressure. That is known as nabr. Why? So that its sound is a little louder than the other letters which are next to it. Now this nabr, which is what is nabr? Raising of voice, that the sound of that letter will be louder than the others. So this nabr, raising of the voice, from language to language and from dialect to dialect differs. Even in the glorious Quran, nabr is noted. And wallahu alam, in the complete rules of recitation in 5 circumstances. So even while reciting Quran, you will do nabr, and there are 5 situations when you need to do that. And that is what is mentioned here. First is waqf al harf al mushaddad. That is when you stop. Waqf means when you stop. Ala is on. Al harf means alphabet. Mushaddad is the one which has a shadda. So when you stop on an alphabet which has a shadda, you have to do nabr. Now the reason behind it, if you see the first word example mentioned here, mustamirrun. It is mustamirrun. And usually the rule in recitation is whenever you stop, you have to do the last letter a sukoon. You do not recite the haraka that is there on it. Although the sukoon may not be there, but when you recite it, you will recite as though that is a sukoon. You will recite it as mustamir, mustamir, but it is mustamirun. Okay. Now what happens is when you say mustamir, it is just sounding as though it is meme and a raw, just one meme and one raw. Mustamir. But what do you actually have? You have a shadda here. You can see the shadda. And shadda means two. Shadda means strength. And always two has more strength than one person. So two alphabets are more stronger than one alphabet. So here you have two alphabets. First alphabet in shadda is with a sukoon. The second alphabet is with whatever haraka is there. So in this case here, mustamirun, you have one is mustamir, the raw with a sukoon, and then you have raw with tanween dhamma, which is run. Mustamir run. So you have two raw. What will happen is if you just stop as mustamir, it sounds like as though there is only one alphabet. So you need to recite it in a way that the listener and you yourself, you should know that there are not one but two alphabets. So you will say mustamir, which is the original. The last one, which is the raw with tanween dhamma, that is what you're going to do a sukoon. So you need to do nabr. You need to hear two raws. Two raw sukoon should be heard. Mustamir. You will have to give little pressure. Then al-hayyu will be not al-hayy. It will be al-hayy. Little pressure you have to give. That will let you know that there are two alphabets here. Now, when you're going to continue reading, then of course you will say the haraka. This rule only will come when you're going to stop on the letter. Because whenever you stop, you do sukoon for the last letter. And if you don't do nabr, what will happen is it will sound as though that second alphabet you have dropped out from your reading. Al-hayy. But there is one more, yeah, which you dropped out from the reading. That is what will sound as. That is why what the learned reciters of the Quran, what they have warned the necessity of this accent on this last letter, which is known as nabr. So what you will do is you will drop this haraka, but the alphabet you should not drop. So that alphabet sound should come out. An exception to this nabr, which is raising of the voice, is when do you not do? When you have a noon or meme mushaddad. when you have a noon or mim mushaddad. And why is that? Because noon shadda and mim shadda, they have the most complete gunna. We have done levels of gunna in book 1, in volume 1. So there are various levels of gunna, and you will see that the most complete gunna is when noon and mim have a mushaddad. Gunna is the sound that comes from the nasal cavity. If you close your nose and say N, you won't be able to say. There will be some sound stuck over there trying to come out. So when you do noon and mim mushaddad and you stop on that, like for example, here you see the first word, lakini, lakini. If you just stop on it, you will say lakin. When you stop, how do you stop? You will say lakin. So that will sound like it is only one letter noon and you have made it as sukun. But if you see this one, lakin, you have a noon shadda. If I just stop it as walakin, I cannot hear the two noon. This and this sounds the same. Lakin, walakin. There is no difference. Whereas the words are completely different. One is lakini and one is walakin. So what you need to do is, when you say this one, noon shadda, and you stop on it, you have to do a complete gunna. Walakin. You have to complete the gunna. Same thing here. Kana. When you stop as can. This is different than when you stop on jan, because this is noon shadda. So you will do jan. You have to complete that noon shadda, the gunna. So that is one instance where you have to do nabru, is when the alphabet has a shadda and you're going to stop on it. Another exception, and wallahu alam, is when you stop on qalqala letter that has a shadda. Qalqala was the last chapter in the previous book. There are 5 letters which have qalqala. They are commonly known in the term as qutbu jadin. That is qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. Qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. So you have qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. So there are 5 alphabets. Now when do you do qalqala is when you are going to stop on this letter. When you stop, what do? You put a sukoon. So when you end with a qalqala letter that has a shadda, right, what did we see the first case of nabru? When you stop a letter with a shadda. But if it is any of these 5 letters having a shadda, then both letters of the shadda you have to pronounce. The examples given are Surat al-Masad, you have this watab. When you stop on either of these words, which is watabba and walhaqu, both ba and qaf are pronounced. The first ba, which is in tabba, you have ba shadda, which is ba sukun plus ba fatha. So the first ba you will pronounce with sukun, and the second one you have to give a qalqala. The same is in al-haqu. You will say the first qaf with sukun and the next one with qalqala. So here the nabr is left out. Why? Because you have to give a qalqala. So watab, you heard, instead of a nabr, you have to give a qalqala. Now there is an exception again here, is if the qalqala letter is preceded by a harf mad, like over here you have qalqala letter qaf, but before that you have a mad. So here what will happen is this ruling falls into the third category of nabr. Nabr, as we saw, we have 5 cases. We are on the first one now. So when a qalqala letter before that you have a mad, it comes under the third case of nabr. So that time you will do nabr, which will be covered when we reach that third category. The second case, when you have to do nabr, which is raising of your voice. Nabr means you have to raise your voice for that particular alphabet than the other letters. There are two cases. One is when you pronounce a wow that has a shadda. Like for example, you see this wow here, it has a shadda, and before that you have either a dhamma or a fatha. Dhamma plus wow is what usually, if it is an empty wow, it becomes oo, it becomes a mad. But here it is not empty wow, it is wow with a sukoon. So you have to pronounce that wow. That wow sound should come out. If you just say qoo, it becomes a mad. You don't have to say al quwa. It should be quw. You should pronounce that wow sukoon. So you have to give that nabr, that pressure. Al quwwa, or over here qawwamuna, qawwamuna. So here again you have to pronounce that wow. So you have to do nabr. The same way, like how wow is there, even ya is a mud letter, right? So when ya has a shadda, like here, if you see ya has a shadda, before this, if you have a kasra or you have a fatha, then because fatha plus wow sukun means lean, same thing, fatha plus ya sukun is also lean. Dhamma plus wow is mud, kasra plus ya is mud. But remember that wow or ya should be empty. Here it is not empty, it has sukun, so you have to do a nabr. This will be sharqiyya. It's not qi, it's not a mad. So you have to do nabr. Sharqiyya. Like the same thing is there in Surah Al-Fatiha, iyaka. You don't say iyaka, you don't say e, you don't make it a mad. You have to do nabr. Iyaka. Then over here, ghayya or ghayyan, ghay. You have to give nabr. Now there is a nabr in these cases. Why? Because of incorrectly reciting a mad or lengthening the lean. Here why? Because the lean may get lengthened, and here you may give it as a mad. Like al-quwwah, sharqiyyah, and the waw and ya are preceded by the same haraka. Meaning waw before that you have dhamma, that becomes u, the mad. Or ya and before that you have kasra, e. But here there is no mad, and so to avoid that, the waw and ya, they are read with a nabr. So that the listener is more clear that here there is no mad. In what we are saying, sharqiyyah, it's not a mad, it's a sukoon. It's not sharqiyyah, it's sharqiyyah. Pressure on the letter, what does it do? It cuts short the time. Because if you don't give the pressure, it will lengthen and it will become like a mad. So giving pressure will cut short the time, and therefore the mud sound will get removed. And the same thing, what is mentioned here is for the lean also. What is mentioned here is for the mud. Same way the lean will also get lengthened. So to avoid that, you have to do a nabr. Is that manageable enough? You all want to continue, or we can end the session? We have 5 cases total of nabr. We have completed 2. If you don't remember, take down notes, read them again, then again, then again, 5 times, 6 times, and inshallah you will not forget after that. I can do one more because I want to keep the sessions short so that everyone else later on as well you all can watch. Plus little by little it will be easier to remember also, to practice also, to revise also. So I will just do this one more maybe, and then after that we will end the session. Just let me see. You have the 4th, 3rd, 4th, and the 5th. And then you have 2nd chapter. So you want to do one or you want to complete this chapter? Let me know. It depends on how much you all can manage. I can keep reading, but if you all can manage, then we can. Okay, inshallah, then we will stop here. Just let me conclude. Okay, there is a sister who's saying to stop, so I'll stop, okay? Even if one person says stop, then khalas, then there's a stop. But what we will do is we will just go over the same things again, just to summarize, okay? What did we do? Nabr. What is nabr? You have to put pressure on a specific letter. Why? So that that sound is louder than the other letters which are next to it in that particular word itself. Nabr is raising of the voice. In Quran recitation also you have nabr. There are how many circumstances in total? Quiz. Quickly, come on. How many circumstances are there for nabr? I'll give you the answer here. Here. That's it on the right
5.
side. 5, correct. 5. How many did we do today? Y'all, everyone can
2.
unmute your mic, those who can talk, please. It's okay, y'all can unmute now. We have done 2. Yes. The first one is
2. Stopping a letter.
stopping on any letter? Not
That has
stopping on.
shadda.
Yeah, stopping on a letter that has a shadda. Why?
To put the pressure on the letter to make a sukoon.
Yeah, because you should hear the sound of both the alphabets. If you don't do nabr, it will sound as though it is only one letter and you have completely ignored the other letter. You have skipped the letter, you have dropped the letter. It is like deleting a letter, and deleting a letter is lahan jali, which is a clear and a big mistake. Lahan jali are those mistakes that can even change the meaning of the word. So we should not drop out any letter in recitation. So that is why you have to do nabr so that you can hear the sound of both the letters. So that is what is mentioned here. The reason why it will sound as though you have dropped the letter from the reading. So you will just drop the vowel, which is the haraka, which is the fatha, kasra, dhamma, dhamma, tanween, fatha, but you will not eliminate the letter. Exception to this,
Noon and meme. With
noon and meme with shadda. What are we doing right now?
shutdown.
What we are doing is stopping on letter with shadda. So if it is noon or meme with shadda,
Down.
then you don't have to do nabr. Why? Because you have to do something else. What do you have to do?
Kalkala? No.
Gunna.
No.
Gunna.
Gunna. Gunna is the sound that comes out from your nose. Okay.
Nasal sound.
And gunna is usually for 2 counts. You have to complete 2 counts. You have to complete your 2 counts. You cannot cut it in between and move ahead. Walakin. And then you will stop like that. Another exception are which letters?
The kalkala letter is
Kalkala.
Kalkala letters. How many are there Kalkala letters?
5.
5. Anyone knows them?
Qaf.
Fa,
Ta.
ta, jim, dal.
Yes. Yes.
Ba.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes. Qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. You can remember Qutbu Jadin. Qutbu Jadin. 5 letters. When you stop with a shadda, why do you don't have to do any nabr? Because what is the ruling for these letters with shadda? You have to do
Because
Kalkala.
you have to do a qalqala.
Kalkala.
You have to do a qalqala, correct? There is an exception. These letters, qalqala letters, if they have a shadda, I will not do qalqala on them, but I will do nabr. Why? Because they come under the third
There's
circumstance. We have not done that yet. We will do that inshallah soon. Then the second one we saw why we have to do nabr. Which is that case when we have to do a nabr? Second one. You can remember Surah Al-Fatiha for this. You have a wow or yeah
wow.
preceded by the same sign or by a fatha. If it is preceded by a same sign, which is wow, preceded by a dhamma, that becomes a mad. But when you have wow or ya with a shadda, wow or ya with a shadda, if I don't do nabra here, if I say al quwwah, what happens? If I don't do nabra, if I say al quwwah, what happens?
It sounds like you said one.
Just
It sounds like a mad. It sounds like al-qu. It sounds like qaf, dhamma, wow, qu. But there is no mad here. It's not qu. It's wow sukoon. So that is why I have to do nabr wal al-quwwah. I have to give pressure, raise the voice. Al-quwwah. So wow or yeah, having a shadda. What are the rules? Wow or yeah, having a shadda preceded by similar sign, which is wow. Before that you will have dhamma, wow shadda, before it dhamma, ya shadda, before it kasra, or before that you will have a fatha. Fatha, why? Because it is lean. It will sound like a lean. So what does nabr do? When I do nabr, what happens? It cuts the time. And what happens when the time is cut? It doesn't sound like a mud, because mud means lengthen. The meaning of mud itself means to make it long. So nabr will make it short. It will not give it as a mud. Like sayyara. If there was no sayyara, if I don't pronounce it this way, it will sound like lean. Lean is I don't say it sayyara. I don't say sayyara. Lean is softness. So here I should not have that softness. I should not sayyara, not like that. It should be sayyara. Should give that pressure. And understand the difference? Until here it's clear?
Yes.
Everyone, any queries you can drop message on the group itself. So I will end the recording here. I'll leave the class on for another 2 minutes if you need to ask anything.